Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell.
Hi and welcome to another Geekology unboxing here on Geekology 279. We are going to quickly go through multiple items. It was my birthday at the beginning of May and I have no birthday money left. Let's put that. Firstly, a couple of bargains that cropped up online. With the lockdown and everything, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of bargains kicking around when stores open as well, but there was a few things that I just needed to grab when I saw the prices on them. So yeah, firstly, right, grip. This is the later version, the Ultimate Edition with the extra DLC packs in. So it's gone from basically being roll cage up to date to roll cage up to date with a bit of wipe out in it. So yeah, basically a game made for me. Secondly, we have Dreams. That went down as part of Days of Play. So the official RRP as Days of Play was 25, but over on who was it? Smith Toy Superstore's website, it was 20. So I actually promised myself when this came out that I wanted to get it physically. I wanted to get it I was hoping it'd be a steelbook of it, to be brutally honest, but it wasn't. But when I saw it at 20 quid and I hadn't got it yet, I went, yeah, I'll have to have that. I don't know if anybody even noticed, but there's been a few 4K discs that have been going into 3 for 30 quids and £10 one-off offers for weekends and things like that. So I've grabbed a few of them. Venom. Let's have a look inside that. So 4K Ultra HD. It's in slipcase, which is alright. So yeah. As always, with pretty much every 4K release, you've got the normal Blu-ray in there as well, which is a good way of future-proofing yourself if you're going out and buying a disc. And usually not that much more these days. You just got to keep an eye open and be aware of what's going on around you, sales-wise. Another one I picked up that went down to the sort of £10 price point was Kong Skull Island, which I've never seen. So yeah, that's something else I just thought I'd jump on while it was cheap. So I can get into that without too much difficulty. Again, I'm expecting 2 discs. Mind you, we said that, it doesn't say Blu-ray on it. Huh. Right, so ultraviolet code. Those aren't much use anymore. And yeah, Blu-ray and 4K disc. Right, next up. 2001 Space Odyssey. Let's use a plastic thing and I'll get a decent one for it. This is actually quite a nice little box set. There was a steelbook, but it sold out pretty rapidly and it was always expensive, even for a steelbook, when I could find it. But this is 4K HDR with the normal Blu-ray in as well. The digital code that probably doesn't work anymore. So you've got the 4K disc at the front, and you've got the 2 Blu-rays, one of which is the special features. So yeah, there we go. But interestingly, you get this in there as well, because it's sort of like almost a box setty thing going on. This slip case, which I'll show you again in a minute. And in there are a bunch of art cards, which I haven't opened, and a little booklet with some shots and stuff, which is quite nice. That had dropped to 15 quid from 35, I think. So yeah, I kind of jumped on that as well. But yeah, slipcase, quite nice. Quite a chunk in there. There we go. Now this one, when I saw it had gone to a tenner, firstly I thought it was the other movie, and not this one. And then I realised it was this one, and I thought, yeah, I've got to get that. This is something I've already got a steelbook of. but the steelbook's the original steelbook release and not the later one with the artwork I wasn't a particular fan of, which they've now reissued with a 4K disc in it, but only the 4K disc. There's no Blu-ray in there, but they've done it as 3D. I think it's 3D Blu-ray, or is it normal Blu-ray and 4K? But that's two separate steelbooks. That's a bit silly. There we go. Original Ghostbusters 1984. Considering the colours in this film, that's going to look glorious on a HDR TV. Can you imagine the proton streams, things like that? Awesome. It's in a slipcase, so this must be the first release of it. Because as most of you are probably aware, it's usually only the first release of a film that gets the slipcase. My format. There we go. So as usual, yeah, there we go. There's your normal Blu-ray, which is actually the same as the one that was in with the game. There was a special edition of the PlayStation 3 game with this disc in it, specifically, and there's the 4K one, which is quite cool. Okay, moving on away from discs. Actually, no, not while moving on away to discs for a moment. I picked up some, shockingly, pin badges, because, you know, I don't collect those at all. A couple of ones I really wanted, and there was another one I really wanted, but came with two others in the auction, which I will be doing something else with. So ones I'm not too bothered about are, I assume it's Matt Tracker from Mask. I don't know Mask very well. And there's a turtle of some description. Raphael, got it. That's the one I wanted. Shocking, isn't it? Who'd have thought I'd want that? Now I've just got to stop myself from trying to paint the eyes yellow. Yeah. But also, not only, but also, Christopher Reeve as Superman, which is quite cool. And to go with it, Michael Keaton as Batman. There we go. Cool. Something I managed to come across really cheap was a soundtrack disc set. I'd managed to get the extended versions of Star Trek 2 and 3 last year, which you may remember me discovering the pop rocky version of the Star Trek 3 theme tune, which then got adopted. And then I found out, which wasn't by La La Records, and this one is. This is a La La Records release. There we go. I'm not sure when it was released. I managed to track one down. It's actually in the UK, because these are obviously made in America, or at least released in America. This is 3 discs. So you've got the original film score as it was originally released, early unused score parts, the full version of this film score, and then a load of alternates, which, yeah, that sounds interesting. So additional music that hadn't been released, there's raw takes and all this kind of stuff. So I'll manage to turn it around, give you an idea. There we go. There will be photos, obviously. So that looks like it's going to be good, and I've been sitting on this for God knows how long before opening it up. So I'll be listening to this later. Right, here we go. I will be photographing it, obviously. Ooh, some spindly bits have come out. Hang on. That is life. Oh, that's interesting. There we go. So that's what this one looks like. Quite always got a red background. No idea. But there we are. That's quite cool. Oh, that's quite a chunky booklet. Oh, there's quite a bit about the behind the scenes in there by the look of it. So yeah. Quite nice. Fortunately, it's a normal CD it's a multi-CD thing where I can get replacement bits for, so it's not too much of a problem. But we've got it in the back as well. There we go. There we got Leonard on disc 2, and then Ilea on disc 3. There we go. There's a bit of artwork inside. Obviously not enough of the Enterprise, because it never is. Anything ever. There we go. There's Ilea and Decker, otherwise known as Prototype, Deanna and Vega. And we've got Spock and Kirk in the front part. There we go. I'll be hunting around for some replacement tray and lay thingies for this. But no biggie. These things happen. They're fragile. It's been from the States to here and then to me, so you know these things occur. Right, now we've got one more thing to look at, which is in this box underneath the camera. Now, I must admit, I've taken advantage of a payment scheme for this, and I wanted to grab it before all stock disappeared, because there's various things going on in the market, and things, and as you're probably aware, as certain technologies get more mature and they release lower priced versions of players and things like that, they tend to cost reduce them and take out certain things that they were available that they could do to start with. Now, this is actually an entry level player. I say entry level, it's a Sony one, so it's as close to entry level as they get. So the player in question is a Sony UBPX700. Now, what's so special about this? Well, there's only, at one point it was the only Sony player that could play all of the disc types that this one does. Now there is a 800 Mark II, because the original 800 that came out couldn't play Super Audio CDs, and this can. And I have Super Audio CDs. And I bought my Super Audio CDs when the PlayStation 3 was out, because the PlayStation 3 60 gig could play them. And then my 60 gig died. It literally got worn out, to be brutally fair, between me and the boys and Sophie. So one of the things I'm very aware of is that PlayStation 5, though it's likely to play 4K HDR discs, UMD discs, because it's got the drive in it, I'm not taking anything for granted after the PlayStation 4 couldn't play CDs. And to be fair, having a ridiculously powerful heat producing machine to do Blu-rays, even 4K Blu-rays or audio, is just overkill. So this will be sitting next to the PlayStation 4 for now, and next to the PlayStation 5 once we've got one, which may not be this year with the release schedule. Just depends what games come out and whether I can afford it. But hopefully some point towards the end of next year, I think, is more likely for us. But this is, as you can guess, it's 4K HDR Ultra HD Blu-ray player. It supports HDR10 and Dolby Vision, which is basically HDR12. It's got a Netflix function, it's got YouTube and Amazon Prime Video, so that's pretty cool. Let's get that out of the box. I have already snipped it to be on the safe side. Alright, now I must say at this point, I do not have a 4K HDR TV yet. I know what I want, it's not out yet. And again, there's some saving to be done to get the Sony are actually doing a 48-inch OLED soon, based on the LG panel. The LG just put their TV out. because I keep getting moaned at the suggestion of having a 55-inch TV. It's far too big apparently. I'm like, I don't think it is. But we'll see. But the 48-inch one does look like it will fit in our lounge a little better. Because let's face it, here in Britain we don't have huge living rooms, lounges, and even a 55-inch TV in some houses is just too big, and that's the smallest an OLED is at the moment from Sony, with only LG having released their 48-inch set in the last week, I think it is, here. So apparently Sony are actually prioritising the UK for the 48-inch launch, and it'll go to all the territories afterwards, simply because it's more appropriate for our sort of like house sizes here. You know, because we're worldwide, we're probably known as the place where so many people are packed in. If you've ever seen, look up on YouTube, there are some videos that were shown to American troops when they were coming over during the Second World War, warning them of the differences in lifestyle and the way we live compared with America, which is quite eye-opening and makes you think quite a lot about the cultural differences between us. Right, so in here we have a power cable, because that's kind of useful. We have the other half of the power cable, because it's got what looks like a Vita brick. We have a remote control, which is quite basic and has a Netflix button on it, which is nice. So yeah, Discovery. Yeah. Oh look, a pair of batteries, Sony brand. Yeah. Helpful. Right. Now the one thing that isn't helpful is I'm betting 9 times out of 10 that this will not, well, 90% sure this will not have a HDMI cable in it. They don't do that anymore. Instructions. Hopefully I won't need to look at those too much. It's fairly straightforward. And there's the player, which is actually really small when you think about it. Right, so let's have a look at this. Okay, right, so there's the front. Fairly plain, straightforward. USB ports, so you can play media off it. Eject button there, power button. No play buttons or anything like that, so reliant on the remote. So nobody's losing this remote, otherwise I may have to chop the hands off. It's a joke. Right, so we've got power in. We've got an Ethernet RJ45 port. So yeah, that's getting used. Because if you're Netflixing things, you don't want to be doing it over Wi-Fi, for heaven's sake. 2 HDMI ports. There we go. So we've got an audio only one. So if I ever manage to get the TV and the soundbar I'd like, which is unlikely because it's a great big, lovely Dolby Atmos thing, which bounces audio off walls, so it sounds like it's in 3D, even though it's only got it 2.1 set up. Because how dare I have cables? And there is a coaxial digital out. Interestingly, this is possibly the first disc player in a very, 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 very long time that hasn't got a optical output on it for the audio. So that seems a bit weird in a way. But there we go. It's going way over the dinosaurs, I think. Because everything's going through HDMI, isn't it, these days? Which is fair enough. That's quite nice. It's neat, it's tidy. And I will be seeing what happens when I put 4K discs and that, plug it into my old Sony TV. Because the TV we've got at the moment is now 13 years old. It's actually basically the same TV that was in the PlayStation 3 demo units. And it's still going strong and it's still awesome, and it's just technology's gone ahead of it. That's the only thing that's remotely wrong with it. It's a gorgeous set. And if you're just wanting to do 1080p, it's fine in standard colour ranges, but if you want high dynamic range colour, no, not so much. In fact, the 4K is not that big a deal for a lot of people. It's the colour that makes all the difference. It's those extra bits of colour. So I'm looking forward to seeing certain things with the HDR footage. Thor Ragnarok, that's going to look gorgeous. I just hope we see there was actually, when they were doing the Blu-ray for Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan Director's Edition, they actually scanned it ready for a 4K 8K release in cinemas. So I'm hoping we get a 4K HDR version of that, because that would look awesome. But why? Well, we know why. It's a shame that we didn't get Star Trek: The Motion Picture's 40th anniversary marked by a 4K HDR release. But considering the state Paramount was in, and considering the Viacom CBS merger that was going on, it wasn't really a big shock that it didn't happen. What I am hoping though is that Netflix might put some money to do 4K HDR versions of the various Treks, or CBS AA does it, because at the end of the day we're looking like whatever the new name for CBS All Access will be, because now it's tied in with Viacom again. It'll be interesting to see what the name will be, and it's apparently coming to the UK next year. So I'm hoping they have the sense. It'd be nice to know what resolution everything was scanned in for the original series and next gen. But the problem is when they did HD next gen and redid the effects and all that kind of stuff, it lost money. There weren't enough Blu-ray sales to pay for it, which is why Deep Space Nine didn't happen, because Deep Space Nine is actually going to be more expensive. Once you hit about season 4, all of the effect shots are going to have to be done again. So it's doable. It's just going to cost money, and whether and at the time CBS didn't see the value. There was no. They didn't think they were going to get the return on it on DS9 or Voyager. So, what's interesting as well is when you come to Enterprise, seasons 1 to 3, I believe, was still done on 35mm film, but season 4, which is the best season by a country mile, was done on Digicam, and in fact will be stuck as 1080p forever, well 1080i really, forever, unless they actually do disc up rating, but footage up rating rather, if they bring it up from 1080i, I think it was actually filmed in, to a full-blown 4K version. But it's certain films it's worked with all right, so it'll be interesting, because anything that's scanned from 35mm or 72mm motion picture can certainly go up to something like 8K without too much difficulty. If the black and white film is even higher, because black and white 35mm film is actually a high resolution because of the way film grain works. So it'd be lovely to see those films done like that. But there's films that have been recorded more recently in 2K. So 4K releases of those films are actually not 4K at all, really. It's upscaled footage, like they kind of did with the Doctor Who's, and they put them onto Blu-ray, or there's actually a 4K release of Twice Upon a Time, which was the Doctor Who special Peter Capaldi regenerated into his Doctor Regenerated, and that was uprated, and I've not watched the 4K version on anything yet, so that'd be quite interesting. But it'd be interesting to see how this outputs to the old TV with the 4K footage, and see if there is any actual difference, because a badly encoded 1080p compared with a well encoded 4K that's been down rated to 1080p might be noticeable. Tad. But we'll soon find out. Anyway, I'll see if I can get some photos together for you to go at the end of the video and to go into Geekology, the group. So don't forget to subscribe to me here on YouTube, subscribe to Geekology, number one, on the other channel on YouTube. Find us in Geekology, the group, on Facebook. We have got a Facebook account, Twitter account, and there is the Patreon account. So go and have a look at that and see if you want to join up and support all the work we do for you. I know there hasn't been an awful lot of late, but it's been weird, interesting times, because David's having to shield. You might have seen in my previous video some of the stuff about that, but yeah. Anyway, take care. Be safe. 2 meters apart, regardless where you're going. And I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye.
Alright.